extension on the basketball court. So do we have a second? We have a second. Any additional discussion? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, so Ronnie or Susan, one of you guys are gonna call Charlie, I assume?
Ronnie, you want to?
I can,
Okay,
we see
thank
it
you.
tomorrow.
Okay. All right, next is budget workshop. I guess we've got to go ahead and nail down some dates. You guys pretty much closing in on a budget for us, Ronnie, or?
I've been keeping it, yeah, I've got a lot of the budget done, I just gotta get with Stephanie so we can put those sheets together that we use, those budget sheets,
Okay,
and fill some of them in, but, we're probably gonna need some dates because this is gonna be a very challenging budget this year.
okay, so we have a lot going on. Well, let's just say in May, we have,
Keep in mind that budget has to be approved, the mayor and council's meeting in June,
yes,
so we gotta get it done before that, and we also have to,
Once you get to June, it's.
I'd like to get this thing
June,
done early as we
June
can in
what?
May.
How many days was it before?
Let's get it.
Exact date,
let's
we
get
have
it.
Yeah, let's just knock it out. Let's just put a couple days to it and let it go on top, go till. Well, Ronnie, so
I'm
we,
gonna do my best, I can't promise you, I'm gonna do my best to have a draft copy of it for the 8th meeting.
okay,
Could we have a budget workshop before the regular meeting?
Well, it's up to you all, I'm gonna have a draft, I'm gonna try my best to have the draft a draft budget ready by the meeting on the 8th.
so could we meet on the 7th possibly? I mean, would it be at the point where we could have a budget workshop and input on what is gonna be your final draft and?
Well, you're gonna have, all I'm gonna do is put in there the changes that we know have taken place and what some of the departments have requested, and then it'll be up to you all to try to figure it out.
So you don't wanna meet any sooner than the 8th, is that what you're saying?
Well, if I get it done by before the 8th, I don't know how
As long as they
fast
set it up in the
she
air, if they
can
get
help
it
me.
done, then we'll, I mean, we're all.
I'd rather be here all one night.
Let me
I mean, we're all in agreement to
Yes.
get it done sooner the
Yes.
better. I don't
If
know
I can
what
get
you
it done,
need to do on that.
If I can get it done in the next few days or something, I'll give you all a call and you schedule a budget night.
Well, if today's the 28th, the 8th gives you another week for you and Stephanie and Lacy to put an emphasis on it, why don't we then shoot for maybe the 13th, which is a Tuesday? And that gives you all, the time you would need to get it together, and then, if the 13th works, we're gonna have a busy week then anyway, because we have the 14th is the joint public hearing, so we've got, we're already gonna be doing some town meetings that week, so.
I'm not gonna be available on the Tuesday, but,
All right, so, yeah, well, we could do it Monday.
Why don't we do the 14th?
Well, that's gonna be a busy night, I think. I think
Can
that's
you do it
good.
before one?
What, the 14th? Yeah, I
No,
mean,
14th before 7 p.m.
well, we can, that's gonna be, like I say, that's gonna be a joint public hearing that's gonna discuss the floodplain, and then after that, we're probably gonna stick around, because then they're gonna be discussing the parking and then there'll be a public hearing on the map parcel amendment.
Can you do
For
it
the
on
parcel.
Monday?
Those are planning commission hearings after, right?
Yeah.
You all know that, but the first hearing on the 14th, at 7 is your hearing. And
Oops.
then after that, your planning commission is gonna hold a couple hearings that they have to,
Right,
so.
so we're out that evening for the public hearing.
that just for your information, that floodplain joint public hearing, we have no, that's one of the things why I don't understand today why they even have a public hearing, because there's nothing you can do or the planning commission can do to change it. It's a map drawn out by FEMA. That public hearing is almost a formality. You're gonna have no input in it. It has to be approved by a certain date. They're even.
Can it be waived?
You can't change it.
Or you gotta have-
It has to be done, but it has to be approved by a certain date, and you really have no
You gotta
input
do it.
in it whatsoever. It's all been done by FEMA,
All right,
and
well,
it's just a formality.
that's next on the agenda, we'll come back to that, let's get back into the budget. Is there a, that's a Friday, Brian's on bowling day, keep bowling on Friday. All right.
Can't do Fridays.
miss Poe tonight, and I'm going to Baltimore.
This is what we run into.
What I gotta do next?
So why don't we shoot for maybe, Ronnie's busy, he's committed on the 13th. Why don't we target the 12th? I mean, is there, you're not going on the 12th. All right, the 14th, that's your birthday. All right, the 14th is the public hearing night.
I'll get a dartboard, just put
Doug,
darts
what do you
up there, and
think?
I'll throw a dart. wherever.
Come on up for birthday during the public hearing.
I'd say we get 5:30.
That's the night of the public hearing. I just hate to get into it, if we get rolling, I just hate to stop, if we get really getting a lot of work done. And if Ronnie says,
5:30 we meet.
well, let's do that. Well, that's another the town meeting, I don't have any problem meeting on the town meeting night, if that's okay.
That's if they can have it done by then.
No, I'll try and I'll get a hold of you and let you know, but then if you wanna meet early, you mean on, instead of 7:30, come in here 5:30 and work on it.
Let's do
couple
5
hours.
o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yeah,
Let's see what we can do.
all right.
And if he does get it even done earlier than that, is everybody good with the 7th? Or so, I mean, if they do by any chance get it done?
Well, no, I'd rather nix the 8th than to do it on the 7th if he can get it done sooner, because, I mean, that's gonna be made for a long night.
You just all tell me when you want me to be here.
Ronnie?
Would you
let's
rather be
go-
here
I'm
2 nights
staying
or
out of
one?
this one.
I got a feeling we're gonna be here too, though. Why don't you, let's tentatively pencil in the 8th and at 5, but if you all find that you do get it done sooner, can we bump it up a day
I'll
ahead
let
of
you
time?
know.
All
Yeah,
right,
I'll
good.
let you know.
And then, what do
And
you
if we
get?
did the second night, we could do the 14th.
Let's get this thing narrowed, locked in, and we'll wait to hear from Ronnie as to what they think they can accomplish between now and then, and
Yeah.
if that's what they can do, then we'll, Ron, that night of the 8th, we'll plan for the next meeting date. It sounds like the 14th is the next one, because Susan's got a birthday, Ronnie's got a county meeting, so 14th.
Doesn't matter what I have.
Same here either, it does, we're just gotta roll with the flow on this one. All right,
I'm
so.
just coming every time.
All right, so we'll schedule a budget, the first meeting, the 8th at 5 PM, unless we hear from Ronnie otherwise.
Okay.
All right, good. All right, and then now, Ronnie, moving into the public hearings.
These on here are just reminders of when they're
Okay.
gonna take place.
And how does, I asked Amy, I haven't heard back from her, but what's protocol, Ronnie, with it, when it comes to a joint public hearing?
It's very seldom done, as you are all aware. I mean, but because it is legal to do it, and it's just, they're doing it to meet the deadline that FEMA has put in place. The deadline is, I think, June, sometime in
9th.
June.
June 9th.
Okay, that's the deadline, and FEMA says it has to be in place. So they're just doing 2 public hearings in one, and you can get away with it, because like I said, it doesn't matter what the input is, nothing's gonna change.
Right.
That's why they might call it a public hearing, but the public's gonna have nothing to say about it.
So we're gonna introduce
For
it,
you.
we're gonna introduce it.
So
at
that
the
makes
next-
sense to me. but-
So we'll be
here,
here,
listen
so we'll
to
be
it.
here 5 minutes?
Yeah,
You gotta
right.
be here and listen to it, though.
Well, we'll introduce it
It
the
doesn't
8th,
matter.
and then the public hearing will be on the 14th. When do we vote on this? Because if,
No, if I'm not mistaken, the public hearing is the 14th of May, I believe.
8th is
Didn't I see
signage.
where we're
is.
voting on it on the 2nd of June?
Right, you haven't, it's a joint, it's a joint hearing, but what's being expedited is you all having your hearing.
You're
So
having
this
your
is
hearing the
really-
same night they're having theirs, at
Normally,
the same
the
time.
planning commission has a hearing on a zoning change, and then they make a recommendation to you all, then you have a hearing. This is their hearing, and you're gonna have your hearing, but you haven't even received the ordinance to introduce, because it hasn't been recommended by the planning commission. So, you're gonna actually hear,
but that's a formality, we've got what Kevin Wagner's proposed ordinance is, right?
yes, but you haven't introduced it.
Now, which ordinance is that gonna be?
That's the floodplain.
No, what
amending
number is
the
that
map.
gonna be?
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Ronnie, what number is that gonna be, 03? Because if we have the light switches, or the signs rather, which is 02, and I'm just trying to think, I mean, the parking and the map, or there'll be 2 different text amendments, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so will
And
those
I don't think we
proceed?
drafted that, huh?
Well, I was just saying, will those proceed then, the floodplain?
Yes.
Okay, so then the floodplain likely is gonna be 2014-03, right?
But yeah, whatever the sequence is, I don't think it's been drafted yet.
All right. I guess my thinking is, the other thing is Kevin Wagner stated something to the effect, I mean, the ninth, it's law. FEMA, it takes hold whether we move or not, it's law. But he said something in his packet here, he wants it like 2 weeks in advance, are we okay there?
Well, we're following the planning office's lead on getting everything done on a timely basis. So we've been orchestrating all this with Amy's office to
Okay.
make sure we get everything done within the deadlines.
Okay.
And I think that's what's been laid out for you here.
Do we
So,
need to to let Kevin know though that then we may,
I don't think you need to do anything to communicate with Kevin. The planning
It's all been
office is all
done,
being,
it's scheduled.
they're all orchestrating this. All you all need to focus on is that joint hearing.
And
And
then
let's
you're
get through
saying-
that,
and
and
then
then
we're gonna
and then
vote
the
in
next
second.
event, and then you'll have an ordinance to introduce.
well, the ordinance is gonna be at the 8th we're introducing. Because I think that was in Lacey's email that she put out, which was the public notice.
I thought I saw where it was, the public hearing was the 14th and June 2nd was the date you were gonna vote on it.
The floodplain, the 14th is gonna be the public hearing, and the floodplain ordinance and map as mandated by state and federal law, which revisions shall fully set forth in an ordinance to be introduced by the mayor and council on May 8th at the mayor and council's monthly public meeting, commencement 7:30. So we're gonna
So
look
then
at,
you'll have it for the 8th. You're
to
right.
introduce.
Yeah.
Yep, and then the 14th will be our and the
Public
planning
hearing.
commission's public hearing.
Joint.
And then you're saying the 2nd of May is when we're.
2nd of June you'll vote
Or
on it.
2nd of June, right, is when we're going
And it
to.
has to be done, I think, by the 9th or something.
Well, it says,
22nd or something. I don't
Kevin
know.
says that it has to be, he says the ordinance must be updated and adopted before June 9th.
That's
And,
9th, yeah.
right, and then he says we'd like to have a signed copy of the town's ordinance at least 2 weeks prior to the date of this date for processing. That's why I was just asking, do we need to control with them, or you say we're okay there?
Amy's got it under control.
That's 2 weeks.
Follow their dates and we'll be good.
Okay, so then the second will be the vote on the floodplain ordinance. And just real quick, on the, all right,
Go ahead.
all right, on the joint public hearing, is that something that the planning commission goes first and then we follow in suit? or
It's just
we-
gonna be one hearing,
One
and you
hearing.
two will,
Who runs
both
it?
boards can sit.
Well, I think you all should run, you all are the governing body, so it should really be, I think you would open it up there, but make it clear that this is a joint hearing with the members of the council present and members of the planning commission present.
So the council will be here, planning commission will be in the audience, but it'll be noted that it's a
Maybe you
joint
wanna
public
let the
hearing.
planning commission sit here or something.
It's really done to meet the fact that you have to have a public hearing and the planning and zoning needs.
And I'm not trying to be complicated, I just don't want to
No.
get in here and flip a coin and Vic Costa and say, you run the meeting or am I running the meeting?
No, I think you should run the meeting.
That's what I would think too, but that's why I'm looking for protocol
Just,
on this.
the key is that the minutes reflect.
But if there's no talking between us or what
You
we
can
do?
talk all you want, you're just not gonna be able to make any changes to it.
Well, you have
Sounds
to,
like a
you have to
DNR.
call, you have to call,
Like,
you have to call the hearing to order, you have to read the notice into the record, identify who's present. Amy, probably ought to have Amy make a comment about what's going on, and then you open it up for comments. If nobody's here to comment, you should be done in 15 minutes. But you do have to create the record of the hearing, right?
But you said we or the public can't make any, so we can still comment, they can still comment on it, but it doesn't make
Sure,
any
you can
difference.
sit up here and talk all night long about it if you want. Probably the fact that you're gonna change anything is probably not gonna happen. And it's all been settled ahead of time, you're just.
Now, somebody could come in and allege a big mistake that some reason, I mean, we just have to wait and see. But I mean, I think Ron's point is, these things, these maps are amended, are dictated by the federal government. So there is a little sort of window dressing process to this, which
And-
is questionable.
As I understand, the only significance of this is the elevation. Is that fair to say? The elevation change in these maps? of the floodplain ordinance that we're proposing?
I'm not prepared to speak.
The only thing that I've heard about it is that it's gonna be, and I've read an article where actually the FBI is investigating this now, because they sort of disagree with the way these maps are being drawn, because, there's incidences where, great big huge condos were kind of wiped out in a hurricane, and now they're being taken out of the floodplain. Their premium went from $300,000 a year down to $7.
And we don't have any say in this,
Why,
Dan.
no,
What do you think about
well,
that?
I mean, it's-
Government.
I think the
think
rates
that's
are going
happening.
down because the
Government.
elevation is being reduced.
The
Maybe you
rates
are, so you know.
that's why people are anxious to see this take place, even in Kent County. I mean, I know people in Rock Hall,
But you
some
fast
people's
yours,
floodplain
right?
rates are gonna go down because of
Right.
this new mapping.
And the county's passed theirs, it's just now a matter of taking hold on the ninth.
That's all of it, all of Kent County is gonna be official come the 9th of June.
Right. But we just need to go ahead and pass ours and make it official in our book.
Dictatorship. We can't talk about anything. It's just-
But you may see, if you're underwater, you may see a reduction in your,
I get one where, get in there now.
but you're gonna see a reduction if I'm not mistaken.
You gotta have your hip boots
A
on and
lot
get
of
down.
places in Rock Hall are gonna see a reduction in their floodplain insurance,
I gotta get a hip
according to what I've
soon.
been told.
And the FBI's investigating.
That was on a news article on a computer one day, about 3 weeks ago. I forwarded it off to,
Is that for the entire state of Maryland?
that was for the whole country. The whole country is going through this,
All
not
right.
just us.
So then we'll have the zoning map amendment, which is going to be on,
Sandy Hook put us through this.
that's going to be a public hearing that night. And I don't think we have.
New
a-
Jersey, we're paying for New
introduction
Jersey.
Date on that, do we, Ronnie? Do we have an introduction date on the, on the
Drawer bank.
R1, on the R1 parcel, the C3, or the zoning, or the C3 parking space, either one of those two? It says June 10th, 2004, I'm sorry, July 10th,
July 10th.
immediately following zoning
Time to
map
think about that.
public hearing.
Where's that getting introduced?
Yeah, that was my question.
Both of those will be on the same night, I think.
But we introduced that then at what, the June meeting?
Let me go get the paper. I don't know when we introduced it, but that's the date for, I think, for the public hearing.
So it's gotta be, we're gonna have to introduce that.
We've, just so you all know, we've worked all this out with your planning office. these
No, I'm not
dates, so
arguing with it,
this
I'm
is-
just saying, Chip, we were going to get a calendar event of these things, and we never,
You were gonna get a copy of all these things, so we could.
I think this is what they were trying to give you. These are some dates. They're saying, these are dates, get them on your books.
yeah, but at the last.
You're asking though for more, I mean,
No, I'm not asking for more, I just was,
you just asked for the introduction dates and all that.
well, I'm confirming it, or asking when the introduction dates are. Just because, again, you know, sometimes ordinances don't necessarily hit us right away, it may not hit till that day, and I just wanna make certain that we're all on the same page as we're going to put legislation in play.
The R1 to C3, Planning Commission has a public hearing May 14th, if these dates are still accurate. And then mayor and council makes a recommendation April 10th to the Planning Commission, and June the 2nd, we have a public hearing. We have two public hearings, one right after the other on June the 2nd.
So, Ronnie, are we then introducing those also at the 8th meeting, C and D?
I'm not sure.
No,
I'm just trying to get because there's a lot of things to introduce, a lot of public hearings, I just wanna get myself straight on this, Jeff. I didn't realize it was that. Man, just.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I'm just trying to reassure you that to get these dates set, we identified all in time when the planning commission needs to get recommendations to you all, for you all in turn to say, okay, let's get an ordinance together that we can introduce, and then allow time after introduction to have a hearing, and then a vote.
Right. I'm just saying, if we have a public hearing and a vote scheduled, then we know when the introduction is, obviously.
Right, it's gonna be before that.
I just don't know the dates off the top of my head.
I
All
don't-
right, well, we'll follow back
But,
up then.
well, but Amy will make sure that, I mean, she's putting this, she's the one that's handling all this stuff.
Okay.
She'll notify us when it's time